Your security team is doing everything right. Patching on schedule, passing audits, no major incidents. And exposure? Still accumulating. Not because someone made a mistake, not because a control failed, not because anyone was careless or underfunded or asleep at the wheel, because, well, that's what organizations do. They move, they build, they deploy, they grow. And the byproduct of all that productive work is exposure that no one planned for, no one is tracking, and no one is scheduled to remove. We have spent years treating exposure as a solvable problem. Patch the vulnerability, close the port, remove the access. The model says diligence eliminates exposure. But, what if the model's wrong? What if some exposure, not reckless exposure, not negligent exposure, but structured exposure, is simply the cost of doing business at speed? And what if the real question isn't how to prevent all of it, but whether you're finding it while you still can do something about it? That's what this video is all about, when exposure becomes inevitable and what you can actually do about it. Security programs are built on prevention. The goal is to stop bad things before they start, and that's the right instinct. No one is arguing against it. But here's what the prevention model doesn't account for. The rate at which exposure is created in a normal, functioning organization is not constant, it grows. Every new system deployed, every vendor given access, every cloud resource spun up, every temporary fix becomes permanent. Each one is a small addition to the inventory of what's externally visible. And the capacity to review, reclaim, and resolve the inventory, that doesn't grow at the same rate. This isn't a criticism of security teams, it's math. Production environments accumulate faster than they can be audited. Intent decays faster than documentation can capture it, and ownership drifts faster than the org charts can track it. So exposure persists, not because no one cares, but because the system that creates it moves faster than the system designed to contain it. And the longer something sits exposed, the harder it becomes to fix. Here's how I want you to think about this. Every exposure has a lifespan. In the early days, hours, days, minutes, a few weeks, I'm talking about after something becomes exposed, options are abundant. The asset is new, ownership is clear, someone remembers why it was created, and someone knows what it connects to. Removing it is straightforward. Reconfiguring it is low risk. The cost of action is low. The paths forward are clean. Now, let's jump 6 months ahead. That same asset has developed dependencies you didn't anticipate. Other systems have quietly started assuming it will be there. The engineer who built it has moved to a different team or another organization. The ticket that explained its purpose has been closed and archived. Nobody can say with certainty what would break if it disappeared. So no one touches it. Not because they've decided to keep it, because the cost of action has risen to the point where inaction feels safer than intervention. Dangerous. Let's think another 6 months ahead now. Now that asset is effectively untouchable. The organization can see it, they know it's exposed, they can name it on a report, but they cannot cleanly resolve it. Not without a project, a risk assessment, a migration, a change window, and sign off from people who aren't sure what they're signing off on. The exposure didn't get worse, the options did. I want to name this clearly because I think it changes how you see the problem. Organizations don't lose control of exposure because someone stops paying attention. They lose it because time removes the paths that would have allowed clean resolution. This is not failure, this is physics. Every asset that sits exposed is aging. Its options are degrading. The window where intervention is clean and low cost is getting shorter every single day, whether anyone is watching or not. So if you accept that some exposure is structurally inevitable, and that exposed assets age and aging closes options, then the right question to ask is not, did exposure occur? The right question is, how long has it been there? Duration is the variable that actually determines whether your organization is in danger. A newly exposed asset in a well-resourced team is a manageable problem. The same asset 12 months later may have become an unmanageable one. Not because the risk profile changed, but because the response options did. We tend to measure security programs by what they prevent, incidents avoided, vulnerabilities patched, audits passed. These are real things, they matter, but they don't measure what's quietly accumulated in the background. The exposure that exists, that persists, that is aging right now, while every dashboard shows green. A maturity security program is not one that prevents all exposure. No such program exists. A mature program is one that finds exposure while options are still available. Before time has done all its work, before dependencies have formed, before context has decayed beyond recovery. The goal is not a clean environment. The goal is a short window. And if that window is what matters, then duration is the metric that most security models don't measure at all. In the next video, we're going to explore what that metric actually looks like. What happens when you treat exposure as something that has a half-life, and start measuring not just whether something is exposed, but how long it has been. Because severity without time is just a number. It doesn't tell you how much of your response window is already gone.